for the deaths of innocent Iranians, with the worst clashes reported in Kurdish regions of northwest Iran. Now, the unrest has triggered global alarm, and now US President Donald Trump has also said that it is time to look for new leadership in Iran, openly calling for a regime change. And breaking news on the broadcast, a day after US President Donald Trump said Iran needs a new leader, now President Pezeshkian warned that any attack on Iran's supreme leader would amount to an all-out war against the Iranian nation. He also blamed Washington for Iran's hardships, citing decades of hostility and sanctions. We've got CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop for more on this. Akansha, right after Trump has called for a regime change, we also have a reaction from Iranian president. He says that anything against Khamenei would mean a war.
Absolutely. And remember, Ayatollah Khamenei is in fact the supreme leader of the Iranian regime. So Masoud Pezeshkian, the Iranian president, making that statement that any aggression against their supreme leader is going to tantamount to an all-out war against the Iranian nation is on expected lines, something that Iran has always maintained. In fact, not just that, the Iranian president has also gone on to blame the United States for the kind of hardships that the Iranians have had to bear. He says that if the people of Iran face hardship and difficulties in their lives, one of the main reasons for it is the long-standing enmity and inhumane sanctions imposed by the United States government and its allies. Because remember, soon after Donald Trump imposed those sanctions, not just in this presidency, under his previous tenure as well, Iran's economy has taken a huge hit. Countries trading with Iran, particularly when it comes to oil and gas, have borne the brunt of it as well. In the latest, they have come up with another sanction or say a tariff penalty, where Donald Trump announced that countries trading with Iran will be penalized with another 25% tariff. So that's only ensuring that Iran's economy sinks completely, as it already has, something that can be amply evident, which is amply evident through the protests we are witnessing. Because remember, they are also taking place because of the rising cost of living, inflation, the merchants, the businessmen, the women, and of course the middle class. All of them are extremely done and dusted with the plight of the Iranian economy. And more importantly, it is the way US is now trying to project itself as the messiah for peace and democracy for these protesters. But surprisingly, Donald Trump's reactions have oscillated between, say, threats of how help is coming and that it is time for a regime change. And then there are strategic causes. So, in fact, in the latest that we are learning, Ayusha, protesters are also now running out of patience. They had been shelving hopes from the US president in terms of any help that will come. So, the latest protests in Iran are now also looking towards, say, US help, and the sense of grievance comes from a gap between Trump's claims and his actions. And they're also saying that he fooled us, deceived us, hinting towards how they feel cheated by the United States at the moment, and that the US has been locked and loaded are the kind of comments that have already been passed by the US president, yet nothing much has been done. So protesters are surging back onto the streets, and this, as the Iranian state is already responding. We've already shared the death toll, which is ballooning further. And Trump's announcement still holds much water, because remember, the US's striker group, USS Abraham Lincoln, is very much on its way. It should be reaching the Middle East now in a few days from now, say 3 days from now, even though the allies, the Middle Eastern allies of the United States could be Qatar, Bahrain, Israel, have all in fact warned the United States in terms of weighing in on attacking Iran, because Tehran has already warned of a counter-strike on all of their neighbors which are allies to the United States. So the situation remains extremely volatile with the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian again endorsing that warning that this will be an all-out war if there's an attack on the Ayatollah.
Right, Akansha, thank you so much for shedding light on that perspective. Do stay on with us as we move on to some more news coming in. Breaking news on the broadcast, US President Donald Trump appears to be proposing a new global body, which is called the Board of Peace, initially tied to Gaza but with wider ambitions. Now the plan hints at a rival to the UN Security Council, offering membership incentives, endorsing a Gaza ceasefire framework, and even inviting major powers excluded from UNSC performance. CNN News 18's Akansha Swaroop has brought us this information. She's with us right now. Akansha, is this US, with this Board of Peace, is US trying to signal a loss of confidence in UN?
That is a very valid question, in fact, at the moment, because if you were to study closely the nuances of this letter that has been sent out, Ayusha, it goes on to hint that the Board of Peace will not just be Gaza specific, as the Board of Peace will be established as a new international organization and transitional governing administration, bringing together a distinguished group of nations that are prepared to lead by example and brilliantly invest in a secure and prosperous future for generations to come. Remember, $1 billion contribution is going to secure permanent membership for countries who have been invited. That includes India as well. But 3-year appointment requires no contribution. And so the letter does highlight the Security Council the UN Security Council has endorsed the US 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan along with plans for this Board of Peace. So remember, as Donald Trump pitches this as a new global body which is going to ensure an international organization for transitional governing administration, UN is coming at a time when the United States is already questioning UN's clout. They have already diminished it by major funding cuts that have taken place under the Trump administration. The United States has already exited 31 UN entities, and UNSC has, for time immemorial, been accused of being limited. It's keeping deserving economic powers like India, Brazil, Turkey, and Canada out of permanent membership. But Donald Trump has sent invitations to all of these countries to come and join the Board of Peace. Will they accept the invitation? Vietnam, in fact, is one of those few countries that have accepted this invitation. India is yet to officially respond. So as far as the entire Board of Peace is concerned, what's a little problematic over here is that it's heavily Trump-governed, because the chair of this Board of Peace is going to be the U.S. President himself. The other members of the Board of Peace are also going to include the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. You can also expect Donald Trump's own son-in-law Jared Kushner, along with the U.S. envoy for peace in the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, also becoming part of it. We are being told that World Bank President Ajay Banga, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, along with Trump's Deputy National Security Advisor Robert Gabriel, are all going to be part of this Board of Peace. Israel has, of course, not openly endorsed the Board of Peace. In fact, they have been rather critical about it. They say that this is not what had been decided. So they've, in fact, objected to US's announcement of leaders who will help oversee the next steps in Gaza. Important to note that Pakistan has also committed to become part of this Board of Peace. Will they be a permanent member, which means will they be contributing $1 billion, or will they only limit themselves to being a 3-year member, is going to be interesting to see. And will this also influence India's decision to join the Board of Peace? We'll have to see, because remember, just hours ago, the U.S. ambassador to India, Ambassador Sergio Gore, has in fact shared that invite by the U.S. President, which has been penned to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India remains undecided on whether or not it will be joining this Board of Peace. So we'll have to see what response comes in.
Right, Akansha. Thank you for patiently staying with us through these breaking developments.